Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGig webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we have initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is clouds creating a tectonic shift in the business. Are your employees cloud ready? Our guest speaker today is Marcel Heiligers, Executive Director at Cloud Credential Council. Marcel is a results-driven multilingual business leader with international management experience in sales, marketing, and services. A strong growth driver, Marcel has a track record of consistently overachieving revenue, profitability, and business goals. He has experience managing substantial P&Ls and has people management experience with direct teams as well as virtual teams distributed across large geographies. He holds a Master of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering from Eindhoven University of Technology and an MBA in Finance from Leicester University. In adding, he holds a certificate in marketing from Kellogg School of Management, Northwestern University, Chicago. This is for all the attendees. For the first 45 odd minutes, Marcel will be giving his presentation followed by the questions. So request all the attendees to start posting questions probably half an hour into his presentation. So quickly, without any further delay, let me introduce you all to our guest speaker today. Over to you, Marcel.
Thank you very much. I am honored to be able to present here. So let me just change my screen. Just 1 second. Are you all able to see my screen very well?
Yes, Marcel, your screen is visible.
Okay, great. Then, so thanks very much for that, and honored to be able to present here today. What I'll cover basically is the fact that cloud is creating a significant shift in business, and we basically also want to look at how employees and organizations would need to cloud ready themselves to basically maximally make use of this shift in technology. So as you may know, my name is Marcel Heiligers. I'm with the Cloud Credential Council. This is a global not-for-profit organization based in the US. And we have as a mission basically to enhance the skill set in the market by and helping to accelerate cloud adoption. We're looking at the skills and competences that are related to cloud. So the topics that I'll cover is basically the cloud relevance, cloud definition, how some businesses are transformed by cloud, the organizational impact, and last but not least, I will cover a bit on the Cloud Credential Council itself, and then also open up the floor for any questions that you may have on the topic. All right, then I'll start. So overall, times are changing fast. If you look at this picture here from 2005, for example, and we compare that to a picture taken earlier this year, you see that the people are using technology in much different ways. They're basically uploading pictures and videos immediately up to the cloud, and that is a shift which we've been seeing within just a few years, which is quite significant. And this is not only happening on the consumer side, the shift of how technology is being used, but also in the enterprise. Overall, if you look at consumers, for example, the way the ecosystem is changing, they're sharing a lot more photos, uploading a lot more videos, and there's an exponential trend in the way that technology is being used. The expectation is that you'll be able to get a video instantly anywhere. Social media is leveraged in all formats. Music is instant and on demand, and there are new ways of paying basically with your device. So some of these changes are having a pretty big impact on IT. on the consumer side and also on the enterprise side. If you look back a few decades ago, the mainframe, the terminal approach was basically the approach that was the common approach used, which then shifted more towards a client-server based approach. And today it's the shift is mainly happening towards cloud. Not only cloud, it's basically a mixture of cloud and mobile and social and big data. So those elements coming together is kind of the third wave in IT that we're seeing. But what is this thing called? Cloud anyway. So let's start with covering that. Previously, it could have meant anything and everything until there was basically a formal definition in place. And an organization called NIST came along in the U.S., which helped to clear up and decloudify some of this. Some of these definitions related to cloud, and basically came up with the definition which is now commonly used in industry and commonly accepted as being a broadly valid definition for that. So it's a model for convenient on-demand network access to a shared pool of configurable computing resources that can be rapidly provisioned and released with minimal management effort or service provider interaction. So it's basically 5 characteristics that help to define it. There are 4 deployment models and 3 service models. So the 5 characteristics are: 1, it's on-demand, self-service, that you have broad network access, that there's a pooling of resources, rapid elasticity, so you can expand quite rapidly, or scale it back down quite quickly. And it's a measured service. You basically pay for that what you use. It also has 4 deployment models. So there's a private cloud approach, which is operated solely for one organization, and it may be managed by the organization itself or third party, and can exist on-premise or off-premise. Then there's a community cloud, which is shared by several organizations. The public cloud, which is made available to a larger public audience, and then there's a hybrid cloud, which is a mixture of 2 or more clouds, which is probably more the common approach which you're starting to see emerging in enterprises. There's 3 service models, so IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, which stands for infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. And basically it varies by what degree the organization manages the parts of the stack. So on a full on-premise environment, the organization basically manages everything all the way up from networking to the applications. In an infrastructure as a service environment, it's this area that's being managed by the organization. This is provided by managed by the provider, and platform as a service is just the applications and data, and software is basically excuse me, fully managed by the provider. Some examples: infrastructure as a service is AWS or Windows Azure. Platform as a service, you have Windows Azure, Force.com. Software as a service, you have Salesforce.com, Office 365, and these are just some examples. Obviously, there are many more of this. The relevance of cloud is increasing quite rapidly. You see the adoption levels increasing across the board. More and more companies are adopting this, are piloting the various cloud solutions, and so this is something that has almost hit a turning point, a tipping point within the industry, where people are really starting to move towards cloud as kind of the mainstream approach. And roughly 50% of CIOs are evaluating adopting cloud first, based on a CIO survey by IBM. If you look at the market growth, it's growing quite rapidly as well. The sources may vary a bit, excuse me, as to the exact number of the dollar value that the cloud services will reach within the next years, but it's quite clear that it's an exponential curve, and IDC, for example, is projecting that it reaches above $200 billion by 2016. So CIOs are adopting it, consumers are adopting it, enterprises are adopting it, and the overall cloud services market is growing quite rapidly. And one of the reasons for this is that it's able to help businesses transform. So CEOs are always looking for ways to increase business agility and their capabilities. CFOs may be looking at ways to reduce costs and associated financial risks. And CIOs are looking at ways to improve the SLAs for the business and provide more value to the business. So from various angles, there are ways to look at transforming the business to a faster, better, and cheaper approach. The advantages that that cloud provides are quite numerous. With cloud, you can enter new markets a lot more quicker. You can basically pay for that what you use, and there's a shift from CapEx to OpEx, or capital expenditure to operational expenditure. And you can easily scale up or down the business as needed, as the market demands. You can experiment more often with trying out new product lines, and basically the failure aspect is reduced quite a bit, and that allows people to become more flexible with that. You can introduce new features more often and rapidly. And what's quite key is your time to market is quite a bit faster with a cloud-based approach. Now, if we look at a classical versus a cloud-based capacity demand alignment, if you predict your demand to be here along the dotted line, and in a traditional hardware environment, you basically would follow a pattern similar to this. We would basically have sufficient resources and increase as you see is needed. But the actual situation may be quite different. So your actual demand curve may follow something like this, for example. And so with the traditional approach, you will have quite a bit of wasted capacity here, and you may have lost some customers here because you're not able to serve them. So from that perspective, a cloud-based approach will ensure that your capacity and demand are aligned a lot better to the needs that are there in the market. Cloud also lends itself to various consumption patterns, so there may be periods where more computing resources are needed, and there may be periods where there is no resources that are needed. And so if you would have invested all of that hardware, software on site, and there's a period of inactivity, then you basically would have wasted quite a bit of money. And so if you would go for a cloud-based approach, you'll be able to align a lot better to your consumption pattern. This consumption pattern may fluctuate. For example, you may have one that's increasing exponentially, or you may have a period where it's quite constant, and then have a sudden period where you have a surge in capacity need. So those are all some examples of consumption patterns which lend itself well to a cloud-based approach. For IT, it also changes quite a bit. The IT organizations can focus quite a bit more from just keeping the lights on, so if you would call it that, and where there's less focus on strategic activities, to one where a lot of the core tasks are outsourced in a sense, or done by a cloud provider, and more focus can be laid on strategic activities and helping to grow the business in a profitable way. And basically helping the organization to expand, looking at ways how the organization can take their products to new markets, or devise new products which may be cloud-based, and enter new markets with that. So generally, there's also a need to be quite quick with the adoption of cloud. If there is a new product line that's being introduced, and there's a demand curve which is quite exponential, then any delay in introduction can cause quite a bit of lost business value. And so the more flexible you are and agile as an organization, the better you're able to meet these demand requirements. And a cloud-enabled business is able to adjust to market requirements quite a bit quicker than one which has kind of a traditional traditional approach, if you will. I'd like to bring forward one example of a business that's transformed itself, leveraging cloud. So the old business of Netflix, for example, was based on mailing DVDs. So you could borrow X number of DVDs, pay a certain fee per month, and you would get those sent to you. Once you finish watching them, you can send it back and get a new set. And this was basically the approach which made them quite successful compared to other traditional organizations that were that had their models in place at the time, as they allowed basically no late fees, which was at that time quite of interest to a number of people. But the organization transformed themselves, so they basically moved from mailing DVDs to streaming movies on demand. They were able to leverage cloud-based analytics to enable personalized video recommendations, and also to develop new series. So based on the user preferences and the knowledge that they have of that, they'd be able to create and develop new series which would meet the market demand. So by leveraging cloud, the organization Netflix is able to rapidly provision resources, basically have unlimited scale. So if they want to enter new markets or expand their customer base, it's quite easy to do that. They can align their capacity to the demand optimally, as there's obviously a different watching pattern on a Sunday night, for example, versus a Monday morning. And if they would have had a traditional hardware-based approach where they would have everything on premise, it would be difficult to scale up and scale down that quickly without the losses. And a cloud-based approach will enable them to do that. They can expand to new markets. If they want to enter into the Netherlands or different countries, it's easy to do that with a cloud-based approach. And they're only paying for the resources, the cloud resources that they're actually using. So it's an example of an organization that's been able to leverage cloud very effectively to drive business and to transform their business model itself. And with that, they were also able to look at serving new customers and serving the long tail, if you will, which is in the sense of cloud-enabled opportunity. In the traditional focus, they would tend to focus more on the most popular titles, but with cloud, it's possible to also look at titles which are less popular and thus serve a larger customer base without a huge increase in the cost base. Excuse me. Additional organizations that are leveraging or have leveraged cloud to either to form themselves or to transform are companies, startup companies like Airbnb. So by moving to the cloud, they're using cloud-based 3D printing to enable mass customization. And other companies such as Autodesk is now offering its suite as cloud-enabled versions. Microsoft Research is leveraging the old Microsoft Cloud and big data to reduce analysis time from years to hours to find connections between DNA, for example. And other companies, startups like Pinterest, for example, have only been able to grow that fast by leveraging cloud-based solutions. And here's another example of NASA, where they're able to process large amounts of data, store it, analyze it, and build that solution in a matter of weeks in the cloud versus months that they would have needed to build this completely in-house. So these are just some examples of some organizations that have been able to do things a lot faster, a lot quicker, at a lot bigger scale than they would have if they would have followed a more traditional approach. Example of some cloud-based businesses, but cloud also has some challenges. So there you do need to look at things such as lock-in. If you go towards a cloud-based to a cloud provider, are you able to get out of it if you want to? Does the cloud provider leverage open standards? Is it an interoperable platform? The standards themselves in clouds are still emerging, which can be seen as good or bad. If the standards are locked down too quickly, too early, it can stifle innovation. But on the other hand, the lack of standards also makes it difficult to interoperate and to ensure that you can move between clouds. Security obviously changes quite a bit from a perimeter-based approach to one where security needs to be built into the solution. Data privacy issues are something that needs to be taken into account if you're using a provider that has its data centers in other countries. Are the local laws still being met? Or the regulations of Germany, for example, still being met if you're using a cloud provider in the U.S. So these are all things that definitely would need to be analyzed to ensure that they comply with that. And also things such as SLAs. Do they meet the needs, and are there back-to-back agreements in place between one cloud provider and another that is serving the other cloud provider? So those are some of the considerations or challenges. In terms of considerations, I mean, there's basically a multi-step approach that would need to be taken, which is similar to any excuse me, larger IT-based project where you go into a strategy and planning phase, design the architecture and deploy, and then acquire and contract from the providers. Look at the resource provisioning and management. And then last but not least, you also need to have the cloud contingency planning and provider management in place. So you need to be able to switch from one provider to the next, or move things back in-house if that is required. So there are numerous advantages. There are obviously some challenges that need to be taken into account as well with cloud. But overall, I would say the ability to transform businesses and to be able to take businesses to a new level is quite huge with cloud. But are the organizations ready? That's something that needs to be taken into account as well. Is the organization itself ready for the cloud? And we've seen that the higher the degree of organizational cloud readiness, the faster and better cloud adoption is. So when looking at people, process, and technology, the people element tends to get overlooked, but is actually one of the most important for successful cloud adoption and implementation. So when adopting cloud, it's important to look at which roles are impacted. What is the skills and skills gap analysis that would need to be done to ensure that a training and certification plan can be set up, and then the metrics would need to be put in place to ensure that the skills gap basically gets minimized over time. Also within the organization, is the awareness there? Does finance understand the capex to opex opportunity? Does sales, marketing, are they aware of the new possibilities that are there with cloud? Operations, HR, are they aware of the training requirements, the need to become more flexible and adopt to change? As cloud enables businesses to be more agile, it also changes the culture quite a bit of organizations, or requires a change of culture to enable to adopt that optimally. So it's not just an IT department, but there are more departments that are involved or impacted by cloud adoption. Customer services, sales, marketing, operations, IT, finance, these are all organizations that or departments that are impacted by the adoption of cloud. Overall, it leads to a flatter, faster organization. In the pre-cloud era, there was a lot of business silos, there was less communication, a variety of legacy systems, and not exactly positive for collaboration. And in the cloud era, there's a move towards internal social networks, cloud-based tools that enable better collaboration in real time. For IT, there's quite a significant change as well. In the pre-cloud era, IT more or less decides everything. They provide the maintenance and support. but also there are long budget approval times usually and associated long implementation times. In a cloud era, the business units have a much bigger influence and get to decide quite a bit more as to what software packages or cloud services they would like to utilize. And IT's role changes more to one of providing standards and guidance, and enables a faster pace of adoption if done right. So IT can move the value chain, and they can basically become a catalyst for innovation. They're moving more from a traditional cost center to a strategic business partner if they do this correctly. And there are obviously changing roles for pure technology professionals. And it's becoming more of an internal cloud broker, but also one that can provide a lot of strategic business value to the organization to enable the organization itself to become more agile and to grow with that. So on IT, there's a skills requirement shift, which is somewhat moving from technology to business management. Obviously, technology is still extremely important to have that understanding, but there's a shift towards having to know more about the business side of things to enable the optimal match of the technology solutions to the business requirements. And in some cases, IT departments can turn into profit centers. Look at some of the changes some of the organizations have made. Amazon, for example, their own internal IT department has moved into one that is providing services globally to customers everywhere. Sears, for example, their IT department has shifted to become a profit center, and their experience with the convergence of cloud and big data has enabled them to provide valuable services for other organizations. So these are just some examples of organizations that were able to change quite a bit. Overall, the skills or the demand for cloud skills is increasing quite a bit. So the number of jobs, the ads that are placed is increasing. Microsoft commissioned a IDC to do a study in terms of the jobs requirements by 2015, and they came to the conclusion that, for example, by 2015 there would be 14 million new jobs created by cloud computing. So and there's several other studies that indicate a similar sort of shift in this direction. IDC had also done a study where they looked at the jobs that were not able to be filled, and in 2012 approximately 1.7 million cloud-related jobs, IT jobs, were not filled, and this number is expected to jump to 7 million by 2015. So it's quite a big shift in the market as to the what skills organizations are looking for and what is currently on the market, available on the market. So there's quite a need to fill this overall skills gap that is there, and that's where the Cloud Credential Council comes into play, because we are looking to at least help to contribute to close this skills gap. The Cloud Credential Council has as its mission to accelerate successful cloud adoption by advancing cloud competencies, and we want to provide organizational guidance, best practices, tools for organizations, and also, last but not least, cloud training and certification. We are a global not-for-profit organization with a principal office in the U.S. We currently have 50+ members, and that's increasing. There's several thousand people that have been certified across the globe on Cloud Essentials, Virtualization Essentials, which is one of the early stage trainings that were out, and the portfolio is expanding quite rapidly. So in terms of training and training and certification, we developed the course syllabi and the exams, and we developed this with input from various cloud experts from leading cloud companies that work at IBM, VMware, Microsoft. I have quite a bit of experience in this area, and provided us with the guidance as to what should go into the syllabi and the exams. Furthermore, we're creating an ecosystem for global distribution and looking at the quality assurance to put in place. The organization came about by a requirement in 2010 from ING to consolidate the data centers, as they wanted to adopt cloud, and they realized that they needed cloud training for their employees. And the CCC was formed shortly after that, with cloud experts that work at various organizations to contribute to the course and exam development. Out of this came Cloud Essentials and Virtualization Essentials, which the two of them together lead to the Cloud Technology Associate certification. And since then, development work on more advanced courses has been done. So the Cloud Associate level covers the key concepts and terminology of cloud, but there was a need that we are seeing from the market to go more in depth, and hence we started development on more advanced courses. So several experts that work at leading cloud companies have contributed to the development of that. So we basically have excuse me, cloud administrator, cloud developer, cloud security governance, cloud service manager, and cloud solutions architect as certifications that have been developed since that time. We've chosen for a role-based approach. So we first started with a workshop, a series of workshops where we basically analyzed, which roles are actually impacted by the cloud. We then had a second workshop where we defined, what are the competences required and what are the common gaps that are in place by role when looking at cloud adoption. And that was followed by an additional workshop where we basically distilled the number of roles into 5 roles that we wanted to focus on first and define those in more detail. And we followed through with a cloud vendor workshop to ensure that there's alignment and buy-in with the vendors in the overall approach that the CCC was taking. So this is what's currently available. So what you see here is the associate level. This is the Cloud Essentials and Virtualization Essentials, which covers the key concepts and terminology related to cloud, but is relatively at a fundamental, foundational level. The professional level has these 5 tracks today. So the solutions architect, the developer, the service manager, administrator, and security and governance. And these are the tracks that are currently available or about to be released shortly. So just to recap the associate cloud technology, this basically is at Bloom level 1, 2, and there's basically 2 exams that are associated with this, the Cloud Essentials and Virtualization Essentials, and is for both business as well as IT roles looking to gain kind of a broad fundamental understanding of cloud computing. So the exam is CompTIA Cloud Essentials and Virtualization Essentials, which is administered by the CCC directly. These are some of the topics that are covered. What are the technical capabilities? What's the operating model? Business benefits related to cloud adoption, implications for cost allocations, barriers to adoption, various technical approaches, and so on the list. This kind of goes on to the various clouds, cloud perspectives, and steps to successful adoption. At the advanced level, we have the solutions architect, which is at Bloom level 3, 4, so it's quite a bit higher up. The certification course is 3 8-hour days, basically, and this is the target audience are solutions architects or senior developers looking to make that move, that transition to a cloud-based approach. And here are some of the topics that are covered in this syllabus. Trader, so similar sort of approaches at a relatively high level, and this is expected in 2014. The solutions architect is available already, by the way, that was available in September. Administrator will be, the first course is expected to be released in 2014. The cloud developer we are expecting to have released by December 2013, and looking at the specifics of cloud design in a cloud environment, cloud application design, and covers these topics that are listed here. The security and governance certification course is all the actual course itself is still in development. The syllabus is ready, and this most likely will be done by December 2013, maybe January 2014, and covers quite a number of topics at quite a deep level, and is basically to be seen as a follow-on to, for example, the course that the Cloud Security Alliance has put out, and is basically taking that to the next level, taking that one step further in depth and breadth. And then we have the Service Manager, and this is a course which is designed more for ITIL managers, and is 3 days as well, and this is also available in September this year already. It covers these topics, which are basically looking at the gap from a ITIL course, so to say, in a traditional environment, and taking that to a cloud environment, looking at the key differences there and how to bridge that gap. Overall, excuse me, what we're looking at is driving towards excellence in cloud computing. And we are not saying that the CCC certification courses are the only ones that you should take. What we're basically saying is take a combination of a CCC certification course and a vendor or technology specific track to that afterwards. So if you're focusing on VMware, take a VMware course after that, or if you're focusing on Microsoft, take some Microsoft courses and certifications after that. And we believe that the two together can drive the most business value impact. So it's not just a technology specific course and certification, but also not just the CCC course and certification. It's a combination of the two that will provide most value. So where can these courses be taken? Well, Cloud and Virtualization Essentials is widely available across the globe. Professional Cloud Solutions Architect has just been introduced in September. Service Manager, excuse me, as well. And in this region, the next large event that will be happening is Cloud Expo Asia, which will be held in Singapore on the 13th and 14th of November. And we are cooperating with Cloud Expo Asia to have these courses available before the conference and during the conference. So it's a combination where you'll be able to take the course, also attend the conference partially, and take the exam and get certified. Or you may decide to take the exam at a later stage afterwards and just attend the course. On our website, cloudcredential.org/upcoming course, you'll find the courses with the cities and the course types where this will be available. And more courses will be added as we're adding partners across the globe. So we have presence currently in the Americas, in EMEA, and in Asia, but that's expanding quite rapidly to include more and more countries in these regions. Future outlook, we are looking to release cloud forensics training and certification. We've worked with a company called Zen6 and a leading researcher in this field, Dr. Ken Ruan, to develop the training and certification track for this. This is targeted at law enforcement, legal departments, the organizations that are providing cloud services as well, as we're seeing that as more and more organizations are moving to the cloud and consumers are moving to the cloud, crime is also moving with that in that direction, and investigations need to be updated to ensure that they're aware of all that needs to be taken into account for this. So that will be something that will be released in 2014 or by the end of 2013. At least the white paper will be out in the syllabus. Cloud semantics is more of a longer running research effort together with Deloitte, and this is an area where we're looking to help define the language of the cloud. So, and we'll be providing courses and certifications around that. We're developing a series of country-specific cloud implementation guidance, papers, as well as trainings. We're going to look at OpenStack training and certification to develop more of an industry standard for that. There's quite a bit of OpenStack training out there, but we're looking to develop one that is coherent and that is more of an industry standard than the splintered approach that's currently in place. And also looking at the non-technical roles such as finance, procurement, and the senior kind of CXO level. Looking to start a series with University of Connecticut on that. So that was it from my side. I hope I'm still within the time. Yes, I am. And I would like to thank you for your attention and open it up to any questions that may be there.
Thank you so much, Marcel. That was a great presentation. This is a request for all our attendees today. You can now start sending in the questions. Marcel, some of the questions I have already assigned, and you can start taking them one after the other. You can read out the question first with the sender's name, and you can give the answer.
Okay, sorry, I'm just reading some of these through. Okay, so I see here a question from Ashish Munigalwar. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yes.
Why would any company prefer cloud when it comes to having their core product knowledge information in the cloud? Rather, they may think of having all the intellectual property within their network. What is the industry view opinion about this? Well, the way, and as I mentioned at the start, there are the various cloud formats. You have the private cloud, there's a public cloud, you have the community cloud, you have the hybrid cloud. And a lot of organizations choose a hybrid format. So there's a lot of services which should be optimally fit for usage in a cloud environment, but there may be some core business elements or some IP that you choose not to put into the cloud and decide to keep that in-house. That may be due to data privacy issues, or that there maybe just from the fact that you would prefer to have that within your own network. So it's not a digital decision mostly in the sense that you have to move everything to the cloud or not at all. It's a combination of making an analysis basically of what you plan to move to the cloud and what not. In terms of the security overall, there's a lot of companies that think that by having it in-house that it will have a higher sense of security. And that may not necessarily be true. I mean, if you look at large organizations that provide cloud services, they tend to have quite a strict procedure in place and highly skilled people that take care of the security issues, and have seen many issues hundreds and hundreds of times, and may be able to cover the security component a lot better than a company may be able to do that on their own. So it's not by definition that if you keep it in-house that your level of or sense of security is higher. But in the end, it basically comes down to making an evaluation, an analysis as to which kind of workloads you move to the cloud, which ones you decide to keep in-house. And the cloud luckily enables this flexibility that you can choose a hybrid solution where you may have some in-house and some in the cloud. Right, so I hope that answered that. Let me read through a few of the other questions. So I get a question here in from Abu Faiz Iqbal. I work on Oracle platform. If I move to cloud platform like Salesforce.com, what will be its on my career as I'm having experience in Oracle domain? So I think it will be good from a career perspective to like I mentioned before, to take a combination of CCC cloud certifications, cloud training and certifications, and vendor-specific training and certification as well. So by taking the CCC, you'll be able to get the broader best practices in the industry and having that broader understanding of cloud without having gone down one path of one specific technology provider or one specific vendors. We are a technology neutral, vendor agnostic organization. It will help to gain that broad perspective first. But what we definitely are not saying, we're not saying, do not take a certification with Salesforce as well. I mean, we definitely recommend you do that as well for the specific knowledge for that particular vendor or technology direction. Enhancement, as if you're seeing everything moving towards the cloud, the cloud skills are the demand for cloud skills is moving in this direction. So it's quite important to ensure that that you're ready for it and not and that you don't wait too late before getting yourself skilled up. So I hope I answered that. Let me just read through some of the other ones. So I see another question here from Shyam Babu R. There's been a steady increase in cloud certification both in vendor-specific and vendor-neutral. We'd like to know more about the importance of being certified on vendor-neutral for an individual. If needed, which is the best certification as of date? Well, so there's quite a bit of training and certification out there from the various vendors. There's not that much vendor neutral out there, and CCC is building up this body of knowledge and the certification program vendor neutral space. And what which certification is best really depends a little bit on what your career track is likely to be, which area you want to focus on. So if you're more of an architect, and have an architect background, if you're maybe TOGAF certified or so, then the solutions architect would be the one for you. If you're looking more to develop applications, the cloud developer would be the one for you. If you have more of a kind of ITIL service management background, then the cloud service manager would be a better bet for you. So and there's not really one certification which is better than the other in this space. It really depends on what you like to achieve. Whether it's cloud service manager or cloud solutions architect, or maybe it's cloud forensics if you're into the investigation, law enforcement side of things, for example. Let's see. Let me just go through some more questions here. Okay, I request you to share some inputs on data security while my data has been parked in cloud as compared to my own data center. Yeah, I would. It goes a bit far to just cover this quickly, and there's the in-depth knowledge around this can be achieved through the security and governance certification course, whereby they'll look at the differences between a traditional environment where security is more perimeter, it's more of a perimeter focus, whereas in cloud it's more built in across the layers. So I think a good bet from a security perspective is also to look at some of the advice that the Cloud Security Alliance is providing around these topics. And I would definitely suggest to top that up with a security governance certification from the Cloud Credential Council to get that full perspective. They will go quite in depth on, for example, the various security models that are in place, the security referenced architecture, and the likes. So definitely would recommend to do that. Then I get another question in here. What courses, certifications are applicable for project managers or technical project managers? Well, just to start, if you have a project management background, I would suggest the Cloud Technology Associate will be a good start, as it covers cloud quite broadly and but doesn't go too deep right away. So that will provide you with that good base level knowledge that you would need. And we may bring out an additional core certification which is more targeted towards project managers at the more advanced level as well. So we'll keep you posted on that. But I think for a start, the Cloud Technology Associate will be a good addition to any project management certifications that you may have. A question from Pramod Vade: if Exchange administrators can successfully move to a cloud solution architecture? Yes, they absolutely can. I mean, if you look at the way Microsoft has made their transition to first make all their products available as on-premise as well as off-premise, you'll see that this transition will only accelerate, where more and more of their products will be purely cloud-based. And Office 365, for example, is a good example of that, where they've moved their Office suite in the back end of that into the cloud. So my suggestion would be to take the Cloud Administrator course once that comes out, and that will be at the beginning of 2014. For now, you could take the Cloud Technology Associate certification course, then take the Administrator course, and then if need be, also take a technology-specific one for Microsoft, for example, or whatever technology you may want to specialize yourself in after that. But the Cloud Administrator would definitely be a great way to help you move towards the cloud. And when it will be available at the beginning of 2014. Then I have a question here, Marcel, from Nishant Takar. Could you highlight the cost effectiveness? It is understandable that on-premise hardware in long term appears to be much more cheaper. Yeah, I think with cloud you need to make the evaluation of the total cost picture. If you look at the cost of running hardware and software in-house, you need to take into account the maintenance costs that are associated with that, electricity costs, the security costs. So there's quite a bit that comes with that to maintain, and it's the additional costs are actually quite a bit higher than you would first assume, than just the purchasing cost of the hardware and the software. So you need to first look at the total cost picture, and then you need to compare that to renting that, if you will, quote unquote, from a cloud provider. And in most cases, it will probably be cheaper or roughly the same. In some cases, it may be higher, but you also need to look at what is your demand, right? Is your demand very constant, or does it fluctuate, or do you have periods of inactivity? And those are the kind of things you would need to take into account as well in the evaluation of a cloud service. The second thing is you also need to look at which workloads you may want to move to the cloud. It may not make sense to move all of the workloads. You may want to analyze first which workloads are relatively easy to move to the cloud and have a relatively low risk, and then look at expanding that further over time. So, okay, and then I see here from Jose Alex, work in senior server admin with VMware technology, which would be the best course for me. Excuse me. So the best course for you would be the Cloud Administrator that would come out in 2014. I would suggest to take the Cloud Technology Associate certification now already in 2013. And then I would top it up with a VMware Administrator course after that. And you have an optimal combination. You may also want to explore other technologies as well. Once you have that Cloud Administrator basis, that foundation, it's easier then to add also additional technology-specific tracks afterwards, and broaden your experience and your knowledge set. And I get another question in from Hidayatullah Sient. I am from a training background. What would be the ideal cloud certification? So if you are, my understanding is if you are a trainer, then it is possible to become a CCC accredited trainer. And so our programs are only run with accredited courseware and accredited trainers. And we basically would require a trainer to apply for a particular track, and he would need to he or she would need to show a proof of knowledge within that area. So you would need to have passed your exam at a high enough level to be able to have a solid enough understanding of the subject matter, and you also would need to show a training background and provide references. And potentially this may include either an interview or a live classroom type of setting where you would be evaluated, and once you have achieved that, gone through that evaluation, and if it's gone positive, gone well, then we would provide you with the accreditation for that to become a trainer. So I think that's about it. I think we're ending near the end of our session. My email address is here. Feel free to reach out with additional questions directly to me. That's absolutely not a problem. So we can basically reach out anytime, and I'll try to answer as soon as I can. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Marcel. Thank you so much for the presentation once again.
Yes, thanks. I was just going to say,
yeah,
do look out on the Cloud Credential website for, if you look at course calendar, I think there's a lot of people that are interested in some of the courses that are offered. You will see where the courses are being offered. As said, in Singapore Cloud Expo Asia in November is the next big event where there'll be quite a number of courses, the Service Manager and Solutions Architect and Cloud Technology Associate. But as we're adding more and more partners and trainers, you will see more and more courses be available in the upcoming course calendar on our website. So, sorry, back to you.
All right. Thanks once again for taking time out and giving this wonderful presentation. I believe all the attendees, it was a great help, and we tried to take in as many questions as we could during the given time. However, as Marcel just said, feel free to drop in your questions. You can either mail us or email Marcel directly with your queries, and we would be more than happy to provide you with the answers. Thanks once again, Marcel, and attendees. The session was getting recorded, and the recorded session will be available on techgeek.com tomorrow. So please keep an eye for that. And thanks everyone for the support, without which this would not have been possible. Thanks once again. Have a great day. Thanks, Marcel.
Thank you. Thank you.